There will be times in your life when you are uncertain. You may be uncertain about your job, uncertain about your business, uncertain about whether you'll get out of debt. The list can go on and on. And it's my desire for you to find your peace and your power in your uncertainty. So today, we're talking about leading yourself through uncertain times. Welcome to the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. I'm very grateful to have you here today as we talk about leading yourself through uncertain times. And this is important because if we are being honest as dreamers, if we're being honest, we don't always know what next looks like. And it's because we don't know what next looks like, we have anxiety about our now. And in order for us to achieve our greatest goals, the reality is we are going to deal with seasons and times and even moments of uncertainty. And rather than trying to figure out how do we completely avoid these times of uncertainty, better to just accept the fact there will be times when I don't know what next looks like, and let me figure out how to navigate through those times rather than try to chase the unattainable, which is to be certain about everything. Now, again, that's not to say you can't prepare well. That's not to say you can't research a lot. That's not to say you can't study hard. But if we're just being honest, it does not matter what you are going for. It does not matter what space it is in. You are not always going to be 100% certain about how things are going to turn out. You can have an expectation, but there's always going to be, depending on the thing, some level of uncertainty. And in certain decisions, in certain moments, in certain spaces, that uncertainty is higher than others. But again, we need to just understand that we're not going to be certain about everything, but we can equip ourselves with the tools necessary to properly navigate the uncertainty. And so it's my goal in this conversation just to give you three practical things to focus on, and think about whenever you encounter uncertainty. And you may be in that season right now, or you know it's coming up. But I want to give you these three things because I know that they're going to help you. And I want you to apply them. I want you to add them to your toolkit so that way you can leverage them when the time comes. So when you think about uncertain times, the first thing that you need to do is focus on your growth. You want to focus on your growth. Just focus on getting better. Because the reality is, when you think about just whatever the situation is that you may be uncertain about, whether it's a decision that you make, whether it's a proposal you sent in, a project you presented and you're waiting on a response, whatever it is, whatever the thing is that you are uncertain about, the fact is you will be all right as long as you get better. If you focus on your growth, it does not matter what the outcome of the situation is. You will always end up on top as long as you are growing. Now, what does this mean? Because I do know that a lot of people just say, well, you have to grow. You have to improve your mindset. You have to improve your skill. Like, what does that actually mean? Well, let's break this down. When I talk about growth, when I talk about improving yourself, when I talk about getting better, I'm talking about, number one, building your self-confidence. Number one, you need to build your self-confidence when you think about focusing on your growth. Because when you build your self-confidence, you are confident in the fact that no matter what situation is thrown at you, you have the ability, you have the fortitude, you have the endurance, you have the character to push through it and survive. And not just survive for surviving's sake, but I mean to get through it and end up better than when you went in. And when you do that, you will then find yourself in a better spot. Now, in addition to just mentally building your self-confidence, you need to also really work on your skills, really work on your information that you have, the knowledge that you have. When you get more information and more knowledge, whatever it is, whether it's how to communicate, whether it's knowing what numbers matter with what, you apply it to whatever situation you may be uncertain about. But when you get more knowledge and information or you improve just your skill, just your ability, your capability in any area, again, you can play best case, worst case scenario with whatever the thing is that you are uncertain about. you are more likely to end up on the winning side when you focus on your growth, meaning that you are building your self-confidence and you are improving your skills and elevating your knowledge and the information that you know. And it's when you have these tools at your disposal, when you are in a season of time when you are just uncertain about the outcome of something, you will navigate that time with a level of peace as well as a level of power, because you understand that my life will not be made or broken based off of somebody else's decision, based on something that is external, because you just simply understand, if I focus on my growth, I will be all right. I will be better than when I started because I'm focusing on my growth. And again, that is very practical, but it is important. When you are navigating these spaces of uncertainty, when you focus on your growth, now you're able to, number two, you are able to make logical decisions. Because when we are in our seasons and our times of uncertainty, when we are uncertain if they will accept our proposal, if we are uncertain if they're going to, just what our future will be at our job, if we are uncertain about whether or not, the girl's going to say yes to us on the first date, whatever it is, when we're uncertain, more than likely, we are also feeling anxiety. Now, this is important because uncertainty is a feeling. It's just a feeling. You don't really know. Because again, it's just not knowing with 100% certainty just what next is. You've taken the actions necessary to even put yourself in the game, but you're not quite sure what next is. And that's just a feeling. It's just a mental thought of just not knowing. And because you have this mental thought of not knowing, that is when the feeling of anxiety can creep in. And it's when that feeling of anxiety creeps in that we can start feeling like we have to do something to get certain. We have to do more that could potentially damage our opportunity. So when I put myself in position of where I'm focusing on my growth, I'm working on my mindset, my self-confidence, and the skills that I have, I will be making logical decisions, meaning I will be making decisions that are data-based. I'm going to be making decisions that make sense. I'm going to be making decisions that actually go through my filter system of my core values and my principles, rather than just making decisions based off of how I feel in the moment because I just feel like this is a good idea in the moment. And you don't want to make these rush decisions. When you make rush decisions, as I mentioned before, you can damage your entire opportunity. So it's when you focus on making these logical decisions, you will find yourself at peace because you don't feel rushed. You don't want to feel rushed when you're already dealing with trying to figure out what is next. So when you are experiencing your seasons and your moments and your times of uncertainty, make sure that your focus is not only just on your growth in terms of, okay, how do I get better during this time? But make sure that you are also, with whatever decisions that you are making, make sure that they are decisions that are logical and not emotional. This is important because a lot of us allow ourselves to be robbed of opportunities because we make emotional decisions. And it's in these emotional decisions that we damage ourselves. We damage the people around us. We mess up a whole bunch of opportunities that could be totally life-changing. So I'm just going to encourage you that when you think about, just leading yourself through uncertain times, make logical decisions. And I know that sounds so simple, but how many of us mess up on the simple things, and that robs us from life-changing opportunities and life-changing results? So when we do these two things, number one, focusing on your growth, number two, making logical decisions, the next thing that we need to do is that we need to cut out distractions. We need to cut out distractions. Now, a distraction is basically anything from the outside that can impact your mental, anything that can impact your mentality negatively, okay? Negatively. If there's any voice, if there's any influence from the outside world that is causing you to look at your situation negatively, that is causing you to look at your ability negatively, that's causing you to look at your chances as if it's not going to happen, whatever it is, you have to cut out all of those distractions. Now, the great thing about this is most of this work will be done when you focus on your growth. But when you are waiting on that big deal to come through, or you are waiting on the guy to finally ask you out, or whatever the case is, whatever your situation may be in terms of where your uncertainty stems from, you want to make sure that you're cutting out all distractions, because mentally you want to lock in on all the positives. You don't want to lock in on, well, maybe it isn't going to work. Well, I did miss that. And you just become hypercritical of yourself to the point where before you know it, when it is actually time to get the acceptance, when you actually do get the yes, you aren't even excited about it because you spent majority of your time bogged down mentally in how much you don't deserve it. And again, that robs you of enjoying the opportunity when it actually does come to you. And so when you go through this process of cutting out distractions, it's not just in terms of things you may be seeing. You may need to cut out some people. You might need to, for a time, not allow anyone from the outside world to speak to you. Now, I'm not saying to put yourself in isolation. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is really evaluating the voices, really evaluate the influences that are in your outside world, in your environment, in your solar system, and really making sure that all of them align with the positive result that you are in expectation for. Now, we talked earlier about how even though you may be in complete expectation for a good result, you still want to make sure that everything around you aligns with that good expectation. But because you're focusing on your growth, you know that even if it does go the other way, I'm still going to be better. But again, we want to put ourselves in the best position possible to win. And in order for us to effectively do that, we are going to need to cut out all distractions. And if you need help with this, this is where you ask somebody for help. This is where if you have a mentor, if you have a coach, if you have a pastor, a leader, whoever it may be, a friend, ask somebody, hey, I'm in this season of uncertainty. I'm not sure if this is a distraction. What do you think? And again, very simple conversation to have, but it could really help you a lot. So that way, again, when you do get the yes, when you do get it, you're not looking at it from a doom and gloom type perspective. You're actually able to fully rejoice and enjoy the moment of acceptance, enjoy the moment of a new opportunity, a new door opened, and not think about, well, I was waiting a week for them to send me my approval, but because I spent the entire week focusing on how, well, I missed that, or I didn't do that, or I don't think I did that well enough, when they actually said you're approved, you don't even get to emotionally enjoy the win. And that's just robbing you of so much joy. It's robbing you of so much peace, and you don't have to live that way. So when we walk out these 3 steps, the goal of these 3 steps is to give you peace and to give you power. It's to give you peace knowing that, hey, win or lose or draw, I'm going to come out better than this, along with the fact that I'm going to have power because, again, I have a level of confidence that even while I'm navigating uncertainty, I am doing what I can in preparation for what I'm in expectation for. I am doing what I can so that way, win, lose, or draw, I am going to keep moving forward. I'm going to be moving forward regardless of whatever anybody else says, regardless of what anybody else does. And so just to recap the 3 things that we talked about that you're going to do when you want to lead yourself well through uncertainty. Number 1, you're going to be focusing on your growth. All right. You're going to focus on your growth. You're going to focus on your self-confidence, your mindset, how you view yourself, how you view your life, how you view other people, how you view your dream, how you view your abilities. You're going to be focusing on your growth. You're going to be focused on your mindset. You're going to be focusing on your skills and the information that you have, the knowledge that you have. The second thing is that you're going to make logical decisions. You're going to make decisions that make sense. You're going to make decisions that are not spur of the moment decisions. You're going to make decisions that are data-based, strategy-based, that have gone through your filter system of principles and core values. You're not going to make emotional decisions. And then number 3, you're going to cut out all distractions. You're going to cut out any negative influences from the outside world that don't align with your positive expectation. And again, as I said before, when you do these 3 things, you will find yourself at peace as well as find yourself empowered when you are navigating your uncertain times. So I hope that this conversation was helpful to you. I hope that it is something that you're able to apply. And so I'm only going to ask 2 favors from you. Number 1, I'm going to ask you to download the growth guide that is in the description link below. And in addition to that, I'm just going to ask you to share this with someone. Share this with someone that you know needs to hear it. Share with another dreamer that you know. Share it with another person who wants to grow in their own leadership. Share this with someone who has a there and they're here and they need the tools necessary to get there. So share this with someone that you know, whether it be a family, a friend, coworker, whoever it may be. Just send this to someone. I'd really appreciate it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all those things, whether you're watching me or listening to me on a podcast platform. I really appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. But all of this is important because we simply know that you will win when you get better.